But see, once what happened, but once the British stopped the tribal people from living inside the forest, they faced a problem. From where would the forest department get its labor to cut trees for railway sleepers and transport logos? So they were not making them to go out of the forest. And colonial officials came up with the solution. They decided that they would have jhum cultivators, small patches of land in the forest, and allow them to cultivate this on the condition that those who lived in the villages would have provide labor to the forest department and look after the forest. So in many regions the forest department established forest villages to ensure a regular supply of cheap labor. And see, this is what happened. The British were so good at that what they did, they gave them the lands to cultivate, and they told them, we are giving you the land, so you need to give us the forest services provided. So this was like a deal with the Adivasis. This was like a deal with the Adivasis, the Britishers did. Okay, and the next page. And many tribal groups reacted against the colonial forest laws. But most of the tribal group they did not want the laws, because they had their own law, and forest, these tribes they have their separate law. The Indian constitution also gives them benefit in the law, because their culture has not yet that kind of system which is followed in the general cultures nowadays. So they are cultural people, and they believe in their cultural laws, and that is why now also our government does not interferes most of their laws also. So they disobeyed the new rules and continued with the practices that they were declared illegal, and the time rose in open rebellion. Or this kind of interference of the British made them to rebel. Such was the revolt of Songram Sangma in 1906 in Assam. So Sangma in 1906 protested against the British, and the Forest Satyagraha of 1930, that in the central provinces Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, and the eastern part of Maharashtra. So there also Satyagraha was done. The problem with the trade. During the 19th century, tribal groups found that the traders and the money lenders were coming to the forest, giving them money, offering them money, and making their interest. And it took the tribal groups sometimes to understand. It took them to understand the consequences of what was happening. So these people were coming and offering them loans, but they did not know that what will happen in the end. What was the interest, and how they will become poor. See, what happens in the 18th century, Indian silk was in demand in the European market. The fine quality of Indian silk was highly valued, and exports from India increased rapidly, and that is why the Indian silk was in demand, and so the import increased. As the market expanded, East India Company officials tried to encourage silk production to meet the growing demands. And to meet the growing demand, East India Company had to encourage the silk production. Okay, so Hazaribagh in the present day Jharkhand was an area where the Santals reared cocoons, and the traders dealing in silk sent in their agents to get the cocoons from them, and the tribal people and collected the cocoons. The growers were paid ₹3 to ₹4 for 1,000 cocoons. So that time it was cocoons. Cocoon is a small, और क्या कहते हैं जिससे रेशम निकलता है, वो that is a kind of insect, and for 1,000 they were given 3 to 4 rupees. These were then exported to the Burdwan or Gaya. Bardhaman, better to say Gaya, Bardhaman. So where they were sold at 5 times the price, and the middlemen, so called because they arranged deals between the exporters and the silk. So these traders, those who were middlemen, they were earning much money because they were selling it to the trader, and they were purchasing only at 3 to 4 rupees, and 5 times they were earning more than that. So see, growers, between the growers made huge profit. They made huge profit. The silk growers earned very little. Understandably, many tribal groups saw the market and the traders as their main enemies, and that is why these tribals also felt that these traders are also enemy. The traders are also not our friends. The search for work. See, the plight of the tribal, dukh, unhappiness, who had to go away for their homes in search of work, was even worse. From the late 19th century, tea plantations started coming up and mining became an important industry. Tribals were recruited in large numbers to work in the tea plantation of Assam and the coal mines of Jharkhand. They were recruited through contractors who paid them miserably low wages, and contractors were earning money and prevented them from returning home. So let us take a closer look. Through the 19th century, the tribal groups in the different parts of the country went in rebellion against the British, as they impacted with the laws, restrictions on their practices, their cultural interference. The new taxes had to be paid by all the Adivasis also, and the exploitation by the traders, money lenders. The Kholas rebelled in 1831 to 32. Santhals rose in revolt in 1855. The Bastar rebellion in central India broke in 1910, and the Varli revolt in Maharashtra in 1940. And there were so many revolts and rebellions in Maharashtra against the British government. Now, Birsa Munda is how he became famous. Birsa Munda was born in the mid of 1870. He was the son of poor father. He grew up around the forest and Bohonda. Okay, so grazing sheep, keeping the cattle, and his father had to move from place to place looking for work. As an adolescent, Birsa heard tales of Munda uprising of the past and saw the Sirdars leaders, Sardar, Kabile ka Sardar. So Sirdars of the community urging the people to revolt, and the community was also making a request to the people to revolt. The Adivasis also were making revolt. So they talked of a golden age, what the Mundas had been free on the operation of decoys, and said them would be a time when the ancestral right of the community would be restored, and they were by Birsa Munda was thinking to have their community rights, ancestral right, their laws, their rule back. They saw themselves as the descendants of the original settlers of the region, fighting for their land and mulk ki ladai, reminding people of the need to win their kingdom, and they were thinking to win their own kingdom, to have their own kingdom. Vaishnav. Now see, Vaishnav is the preacher of those days. Preacher. He was the preacher. He wrote a sacred thread, and began to value importance of purity and pity. So Birsa was unhappy, influences all day by long up the ideas he came in touch with in his growing up years. So in his growing up years, he come to know some ideas, and for that, accordingly, he behaved. See, Birsa was deeply influenced by many of the ideas, and one of them he aimed at reforming the tribals and stop believing in the witchcraft, the sorcery. But we must remember that Birsa Munda also turned against missionaries and Hindu landlords. So Birsa Munda was not against only the British; he was against the Hindus also and the Muslims also. So he was against the Muslims and Hindus, moneylender, mission commissioners, and other people. So Hindu landlord and its head, the movement dismissed all this. Birsa Munda and all his forces as the cause of misery the Mundas were suffering. So they made their armies, and they were suffering due to the British government. So they were making armies to fight against. The land policies of the British were destroying their traditional land system, and Hindu landlords and moneylenders were talking over there hand in hand. So missionaries were criticizing their traditional culture. So Britishers were discussing and their culture. So in this way, this lesson is this: when Birsa was released, see, as the movement spread, British officials decided to act and they arrested Birsa in 1895. Then he was released in 97. Okay, and he began visiting the people in the villages and making them uprise. So people using them destroy. So Ravana, the Kuz and the Europeans, and established a kingdom under the leadership. He used traditional symbols and languages to use most people then of and in 1900 Birsa died of cholera, and that is a disease, and the movement faded. However, the movement was significant at the last 2 ways. First, it forced the colonial government to introduce laws so that the land of the tribals could not be easily taken over by Dikus. And see what showed once again that the tribal people had to have opportunity to protest against injustice and experience. Okay, so they did their own specific way, investing their own rituals and symbols of struggle. In this way, dear students, the lesson ends here, and that is the information about the Adivasis. Okay, so solve the exercise of this lesson.